Okay, question 9 part 3 asks us to, well, first of all we need to work out f to the minus 1 of g of x. F to the minus 1 of g of x. Well, first of all we need to have f to the minus 1 of x, which is going to be, well, in order to work that out, I'm going to write down f of x as a y and have 2 sine x there. I'm going to make x a subject, so we're going to have y over 2 equals sine x. So that x is the inverse sine of y over 2. And so that tells me that the inverse function f to the minus 1 of x, I'm just going to then replace this y back with an x, is the inverse sine of x over 2. So f to the minus 1 of g of x, I need to put this g of x function in where I see my x. G of x is 4 minus 2x squared. So f to the minus 1 of g of x is going to be the inverse sine of, what was it, 4 minus 2x squared on the top here, divided by 2. That does simplify a little bit. That's going to be 2 minus x squared. So when can we not inverse sine a number? Well, we can't inverse sine a number that's bigger than 1 or less than minus 1. So this won't have an answer if it is bigger than 1 or if it's less than minus 1. So let's try and work out which x values leads to this happening. Well, if I draw a quick sketch of, well, before I draw a sketch, I'm just going to change this slightly. I'm going to take that 1 to the other side and have 1 minus x squared bigger than 0. So if I draw the 1 minus x squared graph, it looks like this. That will equal 0 when x is minus 1 or 1. So that tells us in this section here, in this section, we're not allowed it, because that would lead to this being bigger than 1 or less than minus 1. So the first thing we're not allowed is for x to be between minus 1 and 1. So that's the first thing we're not allowed. The next thing we're going to look at, oh, I've lost my squared there. The next thing we're going to try and sort out is this one. So if I add 1 to the other side this time, we're going to have 3 minus x squared is less than 0. And if I do the same kind of thing again, if I draw another quick sketch, but this time for 3 minus x squared, that's going to give me this graph. And again, these two values will be root 3 and minus root 3. So when is this graph not allowed? This graph is not allowed when the graph is below 0, so in this section here. So the other two places, or the other two constraints on x, is that x also cannot be bigger than root 3, or x cannot be less than minus root 3. So that is another constraint, and that is my final constraint. So to just sum that up, we would not be allowed to put a number into here if it satisfied any of those 3 constraints, either this one, or this one. Now they don't overlap. Square root of 3 is bigger than 1, so we don't need to worry about them overlapping. That would make the question even harder. They are my 3 solutions.